America's healthcare advocate, Kerry Hall.
Hello, America. Welcome to America's Healthcare Advocate Show, broadcasting coast to coast across the USA. I'm your host, Kerry Hall. This is your show, America. Thank you for joining us and making us one of the most listened to talk shows throughout the United States. Our newest affiliate, KLIN, AM 1400, FM 99.3 in Lincoln, Nebraska. We're happy to have them on board. Happy to be in the Cornhusker State and broadcasting across Nebraska. So we want to thank them for putting us on the air and becoming part of America's Healthcare Advocate family. If you want to follow us, you can do that on Facebook, Instagram. It's America's Healthcare Advocate. Pretty easy to do. And we are on 12 podcast platforms now. In the last 28 days, I want to thank all of you out there. We had 88,000 people download our podcast and listen. So this thing is growing. It's growing dramatically. And the podcast platforms are Podcast Speaker, Spotify, Google Podcasts, RSS Feed Podcast, TuneIn, Apple Podcasts, Listen, SoundCloud, Stitcher, Overcast, Pandora, Amazon Music, and we have our own YouTube channel. We had 192,000 minutes of YouTube downloaded. So we're pretty pleased with the way this is going. In addition to that, obviously, we keep adding more radio stations. So we thank all of you for listening to this show. And if you hear a show and you want to go up and tell somebody about it, this one today is going to be pretty interesting. We've got Brian Wright back in studio with his boss, Ryan Dingler, here. Welcome, guys. Glad to have you both on board.
Thank you.
They're from Paychex. We're going to be talking to, most of you folks out there that are small business owners know the problems you face. That's why Brian's been in here before, and these shows get a lot of interest when we put them up. I think this one today is going to get a lot of interest as well, so that's why we're doing this. If you are looking for Medicare coverage, you're chronologically challenged, you can call the lovely Joyce Thompson or Carol Lee Steele over at RPS Benefits by Design. 877-385-2224. That's anywhere in the country. They can help you if you're looking for a Medicare plan. If you're looking for one of those special need Medicare plans, they can help you with that. Also, if you're looking for an ACA individual health insurance plan, 877-385-2224. Like I said, the lovely Joyce Thompson or Carol Lee Steele, they can help you anywhere in the country get something that's going to work for you. All right, so I said, when I started out in this segment, the purpose of doing this is to talk to small business owners out there that are under a lot of pressure, and compliments of the current administration, they're going to be under more pressure.
Yes, they are.
It's because we're hiring 89,000 new IRS agents, and there aren't enough billionaires and millionaires out there for 88,000 IRS agents to focus on, Brian. So
right.
Where they're going to focus is, I don't care what you're hearing out of Washington is, they're going to focus on people that are, subchapter S, LLC, partnerships, C Corps. That's where they're going to go. Do you agree or disagree with that?
No, I agree with that. With hiring 87 or 89,000 IRS reps, it's going to put more pressure on the small business owner. When you're a small business owner and you got into small business, you weren't thinking about, I got to deal with the IRS. I got to deal with employee benefits. I have to deal with keeping my employees happy and healthy so I get the production I need as a small business owner. So when they get into the business, they find out that they spend half their time in what I call the minutia, and which is not focused on what their carrot is or what they're manufacturing or what they're making or building or what their service is that actually drives their revenue. So small businesses face a lot of challenges in the marketplace, and I'm talking the segment between the 10 employee small business all the way up to the 35 to 50 employee small business owner.
Yeah, and Ryan, there seems to be, especially in the last 3 years with the current administration, more and more regulation coming down out of Washington, D.C. It seems like these folks like to regulate.
Yes, they do like to regulate.
It's nonstop.
Right?
Absolutely.
Yeah, so I think we're going to see more of that. I don't think we're going to see less of it. And so what winds up happening is you have to navigate this, and I've been there. Okay, I got that T-shirt. I've had multiple small businesses. We've been very successful, been very fortunate. But I'll tell you, when you're dealing with government agencies, I don't care whether it's the IRS, the Department of Labor, or who it is. It helps to have a pro, and that's where you guys come in, and you're kind of you kind of do the blocking and tackling. For the small business guy. So if you're running a restaurant or you're running a garage or you've got a tire store, you're selling tires or whatever it is you're doing, a manufacturing facility, you just said it. You can focus on doing that and not have to worry about who's got your back, right?
Right. And, and HR plays a big role in this whole process, too. With us, you have dedicated HR professionals that are at your disposal. So what a lot of small business owners, without outsourcing this aspect of your business, is they would call their attorney and get billed at $300 an hour for an HR question. And their HR buddy is a business guy and maybe a tax guy or something like that. And it's like, well, I'll refer it to my other buddy who is in HR. And with us, it's a single phone call. You have an HR professional that maps out a plan. It could be a quarterly plan, a monthly plan that actually drives revenue to your bottom line. If you do HR correctly, that actually builds revenue for your business because less regulation and you're always in compliance.
So let's just start with that. Okay, and I'll bet you that half of you out there in the audience, I'm going to say this, and I bet half of you this applies to. I bet half of you out there don't have an employee handbook. Now, I know you're shaking your head, yes. So let's just start with something as simple as an employee handbook. That you guys step in and do what in that case?
We actually can customize your handbook for you to your culture to figure out how you. First of all, we start with the federal regulation, state regulations, because the state of California is much different than say the state of Missouri.
It certainly is.
Yeah. The what you have.
Ryan's laughing. Yeah.
Yeah. I mean,
it's really different, people.
Yeah, in New Jersey.
I'm sorry, you're listening out there in Palo Alto and all the other places. The facts are facts. Okay?
Yeah, and then you can go to the East Coast. New Jersey is another difficult state to deal with. So to do business in those states. So we're set up for all 50 states for regulatory reasons. So when you're a small business owner and you're like, well, I go in to talk to a business owner, I go, do you have a handbook? Sometimes it's no, like you said, or sometimes it's, yeah, I have one. When's the last time it's been updated? 5 years ago? Really?
I was going to say 10, but anyway, go
ahead.
It could be.
So then you run into the situation. I go, do you realize if you were to get audited, and it just takes one employee to file an unemployment claim that goes wrong or the Department of Labor claim. Next thing you know, you got the IRS or someone in the Department of Labor in your business, and they're like, where's your handbook? Or if you ever got yourself into a employee issue where you maybe had a lawsuit come against you, well, the first thing the opposing attorney asks for is, let me see your handbook. And they're looking for is your handbook updated because that's a red flag.
Or does it even exist?
Or does it exist? So we go in and help you regulatory set all that up. Make sure you got a handbook that's in play, that's current, and we review it every year, and it should be reviewed every year.
So every year.
Every year, because you said it earlier in this segment that the IRS is always changing. We're like new regulatory stuff. We're hiring 87,000 new agents, so it changes quarterly probably, but you want to update it annually at least. Even if you're not outsourcing to a company like Paychex or anybody else, at least have your attorney or labor attorney review your handbook. That's very, very important.
Yeah, and if you don't have one,
get one.
You should probably be thinking about this pretty quickly.
Yeah.
Because it's definitely not, you don't want to be the guy or the gal that says, what employee handbook?
Right.
Yeah.
So, so you want to make sure you're up to date with that because that protects your business. Another thing that ties into what we do is we also provide companies with what we call EPLI insurance, which is Employee Practices Liability Insurance, which protects a business for a wrongful termination suit. Any of you business owners that have been through a lawsuit through an employee, you know what I'm talking about.
Oh, we had this happen to us. It happened to us twice.
Right. And so how painful was that?
Well, it was painful. We had an attorney that represented us through the insurance policy, and it got resolved. Okay, but these were claims made by two people in two different times. This happened. They were totally false. They were disgruntled people. They had been terminated, and they turned around and went to the state of Kansas and the state of Missouri. It had one each. Okay, and we won both cases, but it was not a fun process.
Right, and it cost you money too.
Yeah, well, we were fortunate. The insurance carriers, what you just named, stepped in. They provided legal counsel, and they handled it. Okay, we had to go to the hearing, but they handled all of it. And it was, if they hadn't, I don't know what we would have done.
Right, you would have been,
Yeah, it would have been very, very difficult.
Yeah,
it was painful enough as it was. But the point is, we're going to come back after the break. I'm going to ask him to repeat what that policy is and what you need to do to get that. So we'll be right back. You're listening to America's Healthcare Advocate, broadcasting here on the HIA Radio Network, coast to coast across the USA. Stay tuned. We've got more. Brian Wright's in studio today with his supervisor, Ryan Dingle. We're happy to have them here from Paychex. Stay tuned.
The Golden Rule. Treat others as you want to be treated. I'm Steve Keeker, and this is one of the founding principles of my firm, Senior Care Consulting. Since 2002, our value statement has included honor our mother and father, respect our elders, care for those in need, and treat your family as our own. We've been honored to help hundreds of families make one of the most difficult decisions they could ever make, serving them in their greatest time of need. If you're looking for someone who can provide you experienced and objective guidance when searching for a senior care community, reach out today and discover the services of Senior Care Consulting at 913-945-2800, 913-945-2800. Know your options and choose with care at seniorcareconsulting.com.
Welcome back. You're listening to America's Healthcare Advocate Show, broadcasting coast to coast across the USA here on the HIA Radio Network. You can find out more about us by going to the website americashealthcareadvocate.com. All the shows are posted on the podcast platform. So maybe you've got a business partner you've been talking to, we need to get rid of some of this stuff. We keep trying to do this stuff ourselves. We're having problems. Hey, go up, have them go listen to the show. They'll be able to listen to Brian, listen to Ryan talk about the services Paychex delivers and what you may or may not want to do. It's all up there. So that's the purpose of putting it on 12 podcast platforms and YouTube. If you want to reach out to Brian directly, 913-206-4645, 913-206-4645, or you can go to the website paychex.com. That is their national website. But if you want to get a hold of Brian right here in the Kansas City Metro, it's 913-206-4645. So let's go back to this EPLI. I want to make sure I got that right.
Yep, you got it right.
Okay, yeah. So explain that piece of insurance and why you guys bring that into the package and why it's important for the employer to have that.
That is correct. It's EPLI, Employment Practices Liability Insurance. It's set up to protect a business for sexual harassment claims, wrongful termination claims, age discrimination claims, anything that could come against your business. We actually cover the employees where now it's just a deductible. The average EPLI claims $80,000, $90,000, $100,000 when these things are in place. So I don't think a lot of businesses have, let's write a check for $90,000 to get myself out of a lawsuit.
Yeah.
So the EPLI protects you against that. The deductible could be $25,000, it could be $50,000, but it's a deductible. Then it covers the legalese, like Carrie, you were talking earlier, because you've been through it and you had the insurance, so you experienced it. So our policy also includes cybersecurity. That's part of our policy. So it also protects.
Well, that's a big deal.
It is a big deal. The cyber attacks that happen in this country are daily, and so
they're hourly,
and they're frequent.
Minute by minute.
Yeah, they're frequent. So the cybersecurity is in place also to help the business owner with cybersecurity issues that could pop up or arise.
So you guys, one of the things you talk about is 61% of businesses are challenged with attracting, supporting employees and the 4 pillars of wellness: physical, financial, mental, and social. So let's talk about that a little bit, because that's a real problem right now. Businesses are having trouble attracting people. They're having trouble keeping people.
Yep.
And a lot of that revolves around the benefits package. And what are you offering? And what are you offering versus what is Home Depot offering? Or, how are you as a small business owner competing with $16 an hour or $20 an hour at UPS, whatever the case may be? Maybe you've got a more pleasant environment to work in. Maybe people would it's a smaller company. They feel more comfortable there. But if they're not feeling they're being compensated properly and you don't have a package that makes sense, you're going to have a hard time attracting them. So talk a little bit about that.
Yeah, the 61% is a big deal. You think about 61% of businesses are struggling in this area. And every time I talk to a business owner, what's your number one challenge? So far, it's been, I can't find good talent. I'm hiring or keep my talent. And that all revolves around the well-being and your structure of onboarding an employee. The onboarding experience to a new employee is very important, because if the onboarding experience sucks and your benefits aren't very well, the contribution strategy to the business owner is not very well, they're going to leave you in 3 months.
Or they're going to go, what did I just get into?
Or what did I just get into? And they walk out the door that same day. So the pillars of physical well-being, financial well-being, and mental well-being are very important to employees. So how does an employer do that? Well, you mentioned medical insurance, dental, vision, supplemental insurances, disability insurances. But then the key is, what's your contribution strategy? As an employer, what are you contributing to that employee to make their life a little easier, instead of saying, hey, I'm paying 50% of the single rate of a healthcare plan versus I'll pay 100% of your rate employee, and then I'll pay 50% of your dependents. It depends on your contribution strategy, because that's how the small business guy competes with the Costco's of the world, the Home Depots of the world, is through their contribution strategy. But a small business doesn't have access to what a Paychex does.
No.
But through us, they can get those kind of benefits.
Okay, so this is the key part about this, people. I used to tell people back when I had the agency, and this is the day before we had guaranteed health insurance, that if they couldn't find health insurance because they had major medical issues, whatever the case may be, go get a job at Starbucks. Because if you walked into Starbucks and worked 4 hours a day, 4 days a week, you got a full health insurance plan. Same Home Depot. That was kind of like a fallback that we actually used. And the reason those companies have great health insurance benefits is they're 100% self-funded. They have access to a network through a Blue Cross or an Aetna or Cigna or somebody, but they're 100% self-funded. Well, when you've got 500,000 employees, guess what? You can do that, right?
Yes, you can.
And they're smart. The reason why Home Depot offers health insurance to part-time employees is what? So they can get part-time employees.
So they can keep them too.
Thank you. And so you're working, 3 days a week, but you got a great health insurance program. Wow. Okay. Now, how do you, as a small business person, compete with that? And so what you guys are doing is you're leveling the playing field.
Yeah, we're
How
leveling.
many people does Paychex overall cover right now across the country? What's the guesstimate? Ryan, do you have an idea?
You have an idea on that?
Tens of thousands.
Tens of thousands, yeah.
Yeah, it's got to be.
So, tens of thousands across the country. But the thing is, when we're looking at the physical well-being, which is what are you contributing for healthcare, you also got to focus on the financial well-being of the employee too. So offering a retirement plan, offering financial wellness programs, health savings account, life insurance, student loan programs, that helps the employee, makes their life easier and makes their experience at that small employer even better. And then you go to the mental well-being, with adding an employee assistance program and adding legal counsel or student loan programs to help the employee out. Life happens, and so sometimes people run into hardship and they don't have anywhere to go. So they can call on our EAP program, Employee Assistance Program, and ask for assistance. It's confidential. Nobody knows what's going on. You've got counseling. It could be as simple as, I just moved into town and I need to find a vet for my dog. You can use these, or I'm trying to find a college for my kid or an apartment complex for my kid for college. That can help you with that as well. All that goes to your mental health wellness.
And when as you sit and you describe that, people are like, oh my God, this is overwhelming. Well, no, it's not.
Not at all.
Because you're doing it.
Right. Yeah. To the business owner, it's like it's there.
Point, people. Yeah. They're doing this. You don't have to do this, okay? And we come back in the third segment here. We get into the third segment. I'm going to go through the menu of what they do. Well, this is an a la carte menu. You can pick X number of things off this menu, and we'll get into that in some detail. But the point I want to make here is you're listening to him rattle all this off and think, oh, my God, how are we going to do a college loan program, or how are we going to do an employee assistance program? Well, that's what you do. So you're bringing all those pieces of the puzzle to the table, which then makes the small business owner look like, wow, these guys have really got it together. Mm-hmm. And when a potential employee interviews, well, what do you have? And you can lay out a whole package. That's pretty impressive stuff.
Yeah, they can. The benefit of this is you can use it when you're trying to retain people. You can say, as a small business owner, I offer a 401k, I offer medical, I offer dental and vision and financial programs to help my employees. So people see that, that's going to attract them to come to you.
And that doesn't necessarily mean, people, that you have to pay for all of that.
That's correct.
You can offer those programs as voluntary programs. You can pay a piece of them. You can pay none. That's the whole purpose behind this, is there's flexibility here. Okay, so if this is what you're looking for, if you think you need help with this, 913-206-4645. That's his direct number. You can call Brian, 913-206-4645. The website is Paychex.com. That's their national website. If you're here in the Kansas City Metro, give him a call. It's a lot easier way to do this. Stay tuned. We'll be right back after the break. You're listening to America's Healthcare Advocate, broadcasting on the HIA Radio Network, coast to coast across the USA. Don't go anywhere. We've got more. Welcome back. You're listening to America's Healthcare Advocate Show, broadcasting coast to coast across the USA here on the HIA Radio Network. You can find out more about us by going to the website, americashealthcareadvocate.com. My producer, Mr. Darren Wilhite. I'm your host, Kerry Hall. Look, you just heard that last segment, right? And he rattled off a whole series of things that you can do. They do dental, vision, the EPLI program, the Employee Assistance Program, the EAP program, all these things. You're listening to this and thinking, gee, I really need to talk to my partner about this, or I need to talk to my partners if you've got more than one. Go to the podcast platform. It's up there. Okay, it'll be under Paychecks. You'll know what the show is, okay, and have them listen to the broadcast. That way they can understand what you're talking about, and you don't have to regurgitate everything you heard here on this broadcast. If you want to reach out to Brian directly, 913-206-4645. The website is paychecks.com. So one of the things about you guys that I really like is it's not all or nothing. You don't come in and go, all right, we can do this, but you got to buy the whole enchilada. You guys, as I mentioned in that last segment, we can do this a la carte. So talk a little bit about that.
Yeah, we've got, because of just our size and who we are, we're able to get into doing, we get on the payroll side. So with technology, we've got best-in-class technology to help business owners merge their systems. Like a restaurant franchise, they use what they call a POS system. When you go to the restaurant, you give them your credit card, they run it through a system, and all that's tied to their payroll and their hours, and everything's tied to it. And if you're restaurant owners out there, you're going to know what I'm talking about. But we can also merge our payroll system into that POS system that allows them to have technology that allows them to do electronic onboarding, allows them to do electronic benefit onboarding as well, which and so you're getting rid of the paper. You're getting rid of the shuffling of papers and handwritten stuff. Everything's done electronically now. So the system side is something we get heavily involved in. We also deal with workers' comp side, workers' compensation, which every business has to have if in the marketplace. So we're able to help with OSHA training, compliance. We're able to help with, again, protecting the business. And because of our size, we're able to get usually lower rates on the work comp and allows them to, I'll give you a great example. I had a client of mine here in Kansas City, I'm not naming names, but they had a pre-OSHA inspection. They had us come in and inspect his facilities, a manufacturer. And we found a safety issue that was like, if OSHA walked in your door today, you're going to get fined. They're going to fine you for this. And he's like, well, what's it going to cost me to fix this? So we researched it, and it was about $10,000 to fix this machine.
Yeah, but the fine would have been $10,000 to $15,000 to $20,000.
Yeah.
And I know that because I've had clients who went through that same thing that didn't have somebody like you and got their rear end handed to them.
Yes. So we certified it. He took our recommendation. He did what we told him to do, and it protected his business. So he didn't have to worry about if OSHA walked in his door. He's like, I'm safe.
Interesting. You guys can do a pre-OSHA inspection that's a big deal.
It is a big deal.
I mean, this particular company that was a client of mine, they manufactured the cross signs that you see with the lights for railroad crossings.
Oh yeah,
that's what they did. It was called Superior Aluminum Castings. And I remember very distinctly that the OSHA people came in and they just gave them the most difficult time, and they were there for a long time. It wasn't a matter of one day; they were there for several days. And they came after him 6 ways from Sunday, and it was like I felt so sorry. It was two brothers that ran the business. They had it forever. And these people when these bureaucracies come in, these government bureaucracies come in, they're going to they want to find something because they have to justify their existence. Number one,
right? They're there, so why? Why are they there?
Thank you.
Yeah. So, yep, exactly. So we help in that arena as well, and that also ties into the HR. To we handle the human resources, and we put an HR plan in place to help protect your business. The idea is when we're doing the HR piece of what we do, we're finding ways to offset helping with compliance issues to help keep you focused on your business so that generates more revenue for you. We get back into the retention again, and which is a huge deal in the U.S. right now. And what's it cost you as an employer when you lose somebody? What's it cost you? Think about that.
Well, this is interesting. It reminds me of so I had a client that was a group of nursing homes. And we went up to do a presentation for health insurance. In fact, we took Ron Rowe from Blue Cross up to do it. I never will forget this. And I said to her, I'm going to guess that your turnover rate is probably pretty high. I said, I'm going to guess you're somewhere between 60 and 70%. And there were 4 women that ran this and one guy. And the older woman who was the mother that ran the thing started laughing. She said, no, it's about 106%. And I fell out of my chair.
That's a lot.
Like, you're churning through that many people in this business on a regular basis. They had like 5 or 6 nursing homes. I mean, and their cost for their health insurance was off the page, and part of the reason was that, and the issues. So how so every time you lose somebody that you've trained and put in place, and now you got to go back and do it all over again, that impacts the cost of the business, correct?
Yep, that is a revenue that will affect your revenue every time. Then you got to hire someone new and then retrain them. That's time and energy. Time and energy in any business equates to revenue. So, so that's when you're talking to me and I'm consulting with you, I'm thinking of your revenue and how do you build revenue back into your business and how do you do that? A lot of the products that we have and do help you do that. And it all boils into an outsourcing solution. So would you rather hire this all in-house and try to figure it all out on your own? Or would you just want to say, I'll outsource this stuff and have everything I need at my disposal, and then I can go run my business?
Yeah, which is, I always call it working on the business, not in the business.
Yes.
Okay?
Yeah.
If you're working on the business, not in the business, you're growing your business, you're doing what you need to do. If you're working in the business, putting out fires and killing rats all day, you're not able to focus on the things that are going to make you grow your business, do what you need to do, right?
Right. Instead of dealing with an HR issue that's taking you, 3 hours of your day, or dealing with an unemployment claim that's taking 3 hours out of your day, that could have been 3 hours of prospecting or finding your next client or taking care of a client and getting a client referral. Well, what is that to your business? More revenue. So the things that we do, are, especially on the HR side, are revenue generators.
So talk a little bit about some of the things you do, because from a cost control standpoint, because of your size, purchasing things like workman's comp insurance, liability insurance, health insurance, you offer an array of these services. You're buying in bulk. Okay, is the easiest way to explain that. Versus the guy's got 10 employees. And he's out trying to do all this stuff himself, and it's more and more difficult, and it's more and more costly, yes?
Yes, it's more costly, and that's the great thing. If you qualify for our benefits, you qualify for our risk management products or work comp, it's usually going to save you money. And not only are you saving the money piece of it, you're getting the risk management piece of it. You're getting the savings of not having to do all the work. We do all the work. We keep you in compliance. We give you the tools in the toolbox. So you're getting a toolbox with the tools in it already. You just kind of pick which tools you want.
So let's say you've got a health insurance policy with you guys, and there's a COBRA issue. Mm-hmm. Now, typically, having run an agency for 26 years and dealt with this on a regular basis, employers are not real good about administering COBRA. In fact, we used a company called Cobra Guard simply because that's all they did, and they did it flawlessly. They did an amazing job, still do. Mm-hmm. And so I wouldn't touch it because I didn't want the liability for it.
Don't blame you.
Yeah. So you guys administer that. Talk about how, just to give you an example of, and here's what you understand, people. If you've got a health insurance policy and somebody leaves and they're entitled to COBRA benefits and you don't make the proper notifications, you have to prove you made them. They show up in an ER and get a $15,000 ER visit and say, well, we were never told about COBRA. They turn around and file a claim. You've got to prove that you did what you were supposed to do. Or guess what? You get to pay the claim. Right? Am I right?
Yep, you're correct.
So how do you guys handle that so that the employer, they don't even have to think about it? The employee leaves, how do you guys handle it?
If you've qualified for what we call our Master Healthcare Program, then we do all the administration on it. So that means we're doing the audits at the end of every month. We're making sure everything's in place because you're on our payroll platform. So we know what's going on. And then if someone does file for COBRA, we automatically file the claim on time to make sure that the letter's sent out to the employee, that they get it. If they have, I believe it's 60 days, right, to choose to choose if they want to take COBRA or not. Right. I know when I've been in between jobs, I didn't take the COBRA because I knew during my 60-day period.
It's ridiculously priced.
Right, it's really expensive, but I know if something happened, I could within the 60 days still file for that claim as an employee or an ex-employee, let's say. Or if I'm waiting on my waiting period for the new healthcare to come in on my next opportunity or whatever. But
so
we
you
handle
guys are
that.
handling all of that.
Yeah,
they don't have to deal with any of it.
Nothing.
And you just heard him say the trigger to this is they got your payroll. So they know when somebody leaves, okay, because they're making the paychecks, right? Makes sense? So they're going to be able to take care of this. You're not going to have the problem. So there are a lot of different services that simply make life easier if you are a small business owner. If you want help, 913-206-4645. That's Brian's direct number. He's happy to help you. We'll be back after the break. You're listening to America's Healthcare Advocate, broadcasting on the HIA Radio Network, coast to coast across the USA. Stay right there. We'll be right back. Welcome back. You're listening to America's Healthcare Advocate Show, broadcasting coast to coast across the fruited plain here on the HIA Radio Network. My producer, the always perfect Miss Darren Wilhite. I'm your host, Kerry Hall. In studio with me, Brian Wright and Ryan Dingley, here from Paychex, talking about what they do, how they do it, and how it benefits small business. And I know a lot of people out there have these issues every day. I get emails on this stuff. I get people calling me. What do I do? How do I do it? Well, these guys put all that together for you. They take the stress out of that. And as I said earlier, you're working on the business, not in the business. You're not, putting out fires every day trying to deal with individual problems. You're actually focusing on what it is you do, the service you provide, the product you manufacture, whatever it may be. They let you do that because they take the burden of this off your back. Also, and keep in mind, they do tens of thousands of people across the country. So, when you enlist their services for whether it's comp or health insurance or liability, they're buying in bulk, okay? When you go out and do this on your own, not so much. You're buying retail, okay? It's a little different deal. So if you want help, 913-206-4645. That's Brian's direct number. He'll be happy to help you and just come in. So let's just do this. So you get a call. Somebody calls up. I'm ABC Manufacturing. We make widgets. I heard your radio show. I want you to come and just talk to me. What do you do when you go in?
Well, I keep it
The
very
whole thing.
Yeah, that's fine. I keep it very low key. I go in and just have a conversation with the business owner on what makes them tick, and why did you want to see me today? I ask them that. Why do you want to? Why am I sitting here? Why are you using your time to talk to me? So let me know what's going on. So it could be, well, I can't find benefits, or I need to get lower cost benefits, or I'm trying to retain people or get new people. How can I do that? Well, we can talk more about how we can help you with that. How we can, bring in the HR side. Or I don't have a handbook. I'm afraid my business isn't in compliance. It's just an array of reasons why a business owner is going to want to talk to me. So we focus on what their needs are, and then we find the solution. So we have a whole array of products that we've talked about today, and then we go and find the solution. So the good thing about talking with me and talking with our company is the worst case you're going to find out or talking to me or getting a proposal and looking at numbers is you might find out, hey, I'm doing everything pretty well. That's the worst case that happens out of this. Most of the time this makes business sense because it's going to save me time. It's going to put me back into prospecting for clients and talking to my clients more often. I talked to a client the other day. They had some of their clients that they hadn't talked to in years. I'm like, why haven't you talked to your clients?
That is not good.
Yeah, and he's like, well, I'm so busy dealing with employee issues and this because it was a one-man show, small business owner, 12 employees, and he was doing everything. And I'm like, how would it feel if you could offload HR, but you had an HR professional you could go to if you need something? What would happen if instead of spending 3 hours on payroll, you're going to spend maybe 30 minutes? And what would it feel like if we put a time and attendance system in place that allowed your employees, because they're remote, to be able to time in and you can track it and find out where they are? Oh my God, that would save me a ton of time. Well, what you could, now that time you just saved, which is about 3 or 4 hours, now you can go talk to your clients.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
that's the kind of conversations we have. It starts high level and then it gets granular when we hone in on what's really important to your business and where you're trying to find time or solutions to help solve a problem.
So the other thing that I think I want people to really understand here is like I said, it's a la carte. So kind of go, you might pick 3 services. So talk a little bit about.
Right. Let's say, they want the payroll piece of it because they need payroll help. And they want, they want we take care of the tax liability and all that. And it may be, they have their work comp's in good shape and they're fine with that and they want to keep that in place. Or it's a situation, and I've had this actually happen. the brother-in-law has their 401k program.
Yeah.
And so so if they offset the 401k to us,
That's the first red flag that goes up is when the
Right,
brother-in-law's
and this
got the 401k or the health insurance. Then I start getting nervous.
right? Because then the Thanksgiving dinner table gets a little uncomfortable when you're having to. Oh,
Yeah.
I just got rid of your 401k. But we do have a very strong 401k program, by the way. But I'm just saying that is a scenario that happens. That's where the a la carte part comes in, so they could keep that in place. And then my goal would be to then build a relationship with the brother-in-law to help facilitate what we do for his clients.
So let's just talk about that for a minute, because I've had clients have experience with this in the past. And 401k, you get a 401k, and you've got an outside company doing the 401k, or you've got an agent or a broker doing a 401k, and in comes the Department of Labor, and they're going to audit you. Okay, I've had clients say they were here for 2 weeks, okay, or they were here for a week going through this, and then they came back and they said we weren't in compliance here, and we're getting fined this and that. When it's you guys doing the 401k, and now they come in and they want to do an audit, they're talking to you. Am I right? You're nodding your head, yes, right? Yeah. They're talking to you.
They're talking to us. And the beautiful thing about our 401k, we can go back to that little brother-in-law scenario. Yeah. Because our platform is so robust, we actually can. The brother-in-law could actually use our platform and still manage the funds and do what he's been doing under our platform through Paychex.
So they could actually keep that with the brother-in-law, but they would have you guys there overseeing it
and overseeing it.
And then if there is a problem,
then it goes to us, and that makes the brother-in-law's life a lot happier because now he's not dealing with it.
Yeah,
now that Thanksgiving dinner is a lot better.
Yeah. I bet it is, and regulators are regulators, okay? And if a regulator knows they're coming in, oh, you guys have got paychecks? Oh, okay. That's a little different than, Joe Jokes over here is managed this for us. Well, we need to see this and this, and you've got that person trying to deal with them.
We're just there to help the business. We're there to protect them. We're there to get them through like I said before, the minutia, the things that don't make you money, and help you manage your business effectively to allow you to spend more time on your business, and then also help you retain and find top talent.
Yeah, and it's really the whole point here, folks, is as we've gone through, is the reason I'm doing this today and let you listen to this is because this is small businesses have a lot of pressure in this country, and it's not getting any less; it's getting more. And this is a solution that works for an awful lot of people across the country. If you want to talk to Brian, you can do that at 913-206-4645, 913-206-4645. Thanks for doing this, guys. Ryan, next time, don't be so talkative, okay? I'm just saying, all right? All right. And now I leave you with this thought from Albert Einstein. The one who follows the crowd will usually get no further than the crowd. The one who walks alone is likely to find himself in places no one has ever been. Remember, friends, it's a funny thing about life. If you refuse to accept anything but the very best, you most often get it. Thank you for listening to America's Healthcare Advocate Show, broadcasting here on the HIU Radio Network, coast to coast across the USA. Goodbye, America.